What's up, everybody? So I am doing yet another top 50 video. I think this is my fourth time I've done this in 5 years. But I was thinking about the other day, I was at 2,000 subscribers about a year ago, and I'm almost approaching 4,300 subscribers. So I have a lot of new subscribers, a lot of people that may have not seen some of the cards that I'm about to show. And why not? It's like one of my favorite videos to do. So when I did my first video ever, my top 50 baseball cards, my 1939 play ball Joe DiMaggio was my #1 card. So where is it now? And then also I have a new #1 card. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned. You're definitely going to want to check this out because it is a card that I have not showed to anyone yet. So it is a new #1 card. So stay tuned and let's go. My top 50 baseball cards. All right, guys. So let's get started. Got the T206 cards in the background. These just barely fell out of the top 50. Beautiful cards, mostly sort of common players. But I wanted to start with this. This is a card that growing up, people would be like, "What is your best card in your collection or your most valuable?" And I'd always say the 1955 Topps Ted Williams. And it's funny, now I have it listed as my 88th best card. It's amazing how your collection evolves over time, but obviously the fact that it's only a 3.5 bumps it pretty far down the list. But thought that was kind of cool to show that off as my 88th right now. As an honorable mention, at number 51, the 1970 Topps Nolan Ryan in a PSA 6. Nolan Ryan cards have really gone crazy over the last couple of years. At number 50 is the 82 Topps Cal Ripken in a PSA 9. I think I got this part of a Leaf repack, but a really cool card. Love to get this in a PSA 10 one day. At number 49 is the 52 Topps Tom Morgan in a PSA 5. This is part of the high numbered set from 1952 Topps. At number 48 is this Mickey Mantle card. I can't believe I'm putting a Mickey Mantle card at 48. But obviously a lower grade card that I got for pretty cheap a couple of years ago. I actually had this in one of my recent videos. A really cool card. One of my favorite sets, the 1960 Topps set. At number 47, I believe, we are at the 1953 Topps Satchel Paige. Love this card. I'd love to pick up the Bowman rookie at one point, but I'll have to wait. Until then, I own the 53 Topps Satchel Paige. Next up is the Gleyber Torres 2015 Bowman Chrome Auto. This guy has been having a really nice year, just destroying the poor Baltimore Orioles. But picked this up before, when the Yankees traded for him maybe a year or two ago, and came back as a PSA 9. Next up, for some reason this ended up finishing in my top 50. I think there was one sale that got it on the list, but this is a Red Amos Hands Over Head PSA 6. Sort of similar to all the cards in the background there. Next up is this Mike Schmidt, the 1973 rookie in a BVG 8. I have thought about seeing if I could cross it over. Very unusual for a BVG card to cross over successfully to a PSA 8. If it did, this would be a much more valuable card to be higher up on my list, but considering it's BVG, it's a little bit lower on the list, but really cool. One of those cards I bought as, wasn't graded, and then I submitted it, my first time ever grading a card, and came back in 8, which I was really excited about. That was a long time ago. It was like 5 years ago now. Next up, the 2013 Bowman Sterling Aaron Judge. I remember when I pulled this from a pack of Bowman Sterling. It was one of those cards I just kind of tossed aside. I was like, I'm not too familiar with Aaron Judge. And that was the cool thing about Sterling, is you would get 3 autographs in every single pack. And there'd be 6 autos in a box. It'd be 18 autos. And then you would just spend time learning about the players. And that's how I learned about Aaron Judge, way before he ever got called up. And this came back as a PSA 10. Next up, I guess we're at 42. This is the T206 Willie Keeler. This is back when the Yankees were called the New York Highlanders. And Willie Keeler was one of the greatest hitters of all time, and was one of the guys that kind of mastered the ability to kind of hit the ball into the ground and get a base hit. So really cool card there. And at number 41 is the Don Mattingly 84 Fleer in a PSA 10. And I picked up the 84 Don Ross in a PSA 10 and the Tiffany, which you'll see in a little bit. So I had to pick up the Fleer, and that is number 41. All right, guys. So at number 40 is this Christian Yelich. This is from Bowman Sterling. Got a 9.5 Gem Mint 10 auto. This is one of those cards that, again, opened up a pack. I was like, whatever. I don't know this Christian Yelich kid. But since then, and this was buried even like a couple months ago, buried down my list. But because of the MVP year last year and the MVP caliber season he's having this year, got to move it up the list. And this card is a lot more valuable now than it was about a year ago. At number 39, a card that I talked about that I way overpaid for is this Giancarlo Stanton. Picked this up when he first moved to the Yankees from the Marlins as part of that trade, and he's had a lot of injuries, but still a really cool card in the collection. An X-Fractor. Came back, I bought it raw, came back as an 8. Next up at number 38 is the 2014 Bowman Chrome Chris Bryant. Another card that I sort of overpaid for. Again, bought it before he won the MVP, before he really had a big year. But I guess people have moved on to other players since then, and not as valuable as it used to be, but still number 38 on my list. At number 37, and you guys have heard me talk about this card over and over again. This is one of those cards I probably should have sold last year, and I talked about it a lot, but I just couldn't do it. I can't, for some reason, I just don't have the ability to sell cards. I just love owning them, and even if the value drops on it, I still love to, have the card. Either way, I think I bought this for like $40-50. So it's still, for it to land at 37 on my list is still really good. At number 36, this was a card that I landed in a pack of 2012 Topps Update. It is the gold version. Always thought it was cool. 11/11 of 2012. So another card that, maybe I would have been better off selling last year when everybody was talking about Bryce Harper, about where he's going to go and all that stuff. So, but still a really, really awesome card to have in the collection. At number 35 is this 1964 Topps Mickey Mantle in a PSA 6. Just a really beautiful card of the Mick. At 34, yet another card that I bought at a show, ungraded, and submitted it, and it came back as a PSA 7, the 1966 Topps Willie Mays. Next up is the 1979 Topps Wayne Gretzky in a PSA 6. Surprised this is as far down the list as it is. I mean, this is the greatest hockey player ever in a PSA 6, but still, I guess, has a lot of room to grow, I think, in terms of investment. At number 32 is the Sandy Koufax rookie card, the 55 Topps. It is graded a 3.5. Again, bought this card at the National at a really discounted price and came back as a 3.5. And at number 31, this was another card that I bought at a card show. One of the nicest looking ones that you're going to see, and that's all because of the paper loss on the back. But still beautiful from the front, and is Cy Young. So bare hands shows. So that is number 31 on my list. All right, guys, so number 30 on my list is Rube Waddell. I just picked this up at the National. Talked a lot about it. If you guys are interested, just watch my previous video, and I talk a little bit more about this card, how I got it, and a little bit of background on Rube. At number 29 is the Ken Griffey Jr. In a PSA 10, the Upper Deck card, one of the most iconic cards in baseball history. Got to get that in a PSA 10. At number 28, Gary Sanchez 2010 Bowman Chrome in a PSA 9. Another card, I think this, yeah, I got this ungraded, came back as a 9, a little bit off center from left to right. And Sanchez has had a lot of kind of on and off issues with injuries, but when he's healthy, he produces and is one of the best catchers in baseball in terms of hitting. Next up, at number 27 is the 84 Fleer Update Clemens in a PSA 10. This is one of those cards when I was a kid. It was so unbelievably unattainable. So it was one of those cards like, you know, at the age that I'm at, I'm like, oh, I got to pick this card up just because of the nostalgia of finally owning this card. At number 26 is the 1935 Gowdy Ruth 4-in-1. You can see here Gowdy with 3 other players back when Ruth was part of the Boston Braves. So that's a really cool card there. There's the back. I can't believe how low this is on my list, but considering it's a Babe Ruth card. Next up, I believe we're at 25, is the 93 Stadium Club Derek Jeter Murphy card. Picked this up this year in a PSA 10. The 93 SP card has just gone completely bonkers, so I figured let's pick this card up at a PSA 10 before it gets too crazy when Jeter inevitably makes it into the Hall of Fame next year. Next up, we have the 55 Topps Roberto Clemente. This is sort of where the list gets a little bit ridiculous. So Clemente rookie in a 3.5, just an absolutely beautiful card. Really great looking for the grade. All right, next up, I believe we're at 23, is the 84 Donruss Don Mattingly. One of those cards that has gone crazy in terms of value in a PSA 10. And just one of the, you know, it's one of those cards that I don't see going backwards in terms of value over the next couple of years, just because everyone remembers this card and everyone wants this, if they can, in a PSA 10. So absolutely love this card. And as a Donnie baseball fan, I might be biased, but that's the way I look at it. Number 22 is this 2013 Bowman Chrome Aaron Judge in a PSA 10. Again, picked this card up, ungraded, sent it into PSA, and it came back as a 10. And really cool card. Aaron Judge is having a rough year. A lot of injuries. Is not producing the way he has in the past. You know, you wonder if there's a lingering injury, but still one of the most desirable modern cards out there. And at number 21 is this Derek Jeter Superfractor. This is 2012 Bowman Chrome. I'd love to get it out of this case because you see it has like a little crack there, which I'll do eventually, but really awesome Superfractor. I actually watched Houdini. He's one of the pack breakers. I remember him pulling this, and I just remember being, wow, what an unbelievable card. And then when I saw it pop up on eBay, I was like, yep, I'll take it. So really cool to own this, and of course, it is a 1 of 1. All right, guys, so at number 20 is the Joe DiMaggio, and I talked about this in my intro 5 years ago when I first started doing YouTube videos. This was my number 1 card, the 1939 Play Ball DiMaggio in a 5.5. I think this card is way undervalued. I don't know how this would do. I mean, it's a 5.5, but it looks really, really nice, beautifully centering, some great eye appeal. But for whatever reason, yeah, so this is number 20 on my list. Used to be my number 1 card when I first started on YouTube. Number 19 is this beautiful 52 Bowman Mickey Mantle. You know, if you're looking to get a like a high-end Mickey, this might be a good option because the 51 Bowman is insane. The 52 Topps is also insane, as everybody knows. And even the 53 Topps and the 56 Topps are really expensive. The 52 Bowman is still sort of reasonable. And you can get this. This one's in a 3.5. Just a beautiful card. Looks, to me, a lot better than a 3.5. But All right, next up at number 18 is the 86 Fleer Michael Jordan in a PSA 6. This, again, another card that looks a lot better than the grade. I don't even know how it's a 6, but it's a 6 somehow. So, really nice Jordan card there. At number 17 is a card that I picked up this year, the Reggie Jackson, one of those cards that I've sort of always wanted to add, and when I finally decided to do it, I was like, might as well pick it up in a high grade, pick this up in a PSA 8, the 69 Topps Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. At number 17 is this 84 Topps Tiffany Mattingly in a PSA 10. These cards don't pop up very often. They're very difficult to find. Tiffany in a PSA 10. And as a Mattingly fan, a must-own card. Maybe, you know, I don't know if you need to own it in a Tiffany PSA 10. But next up is the Goodwin Champions King Kelly. I just featured this in my last video, and if you saw the last video, you probably know what's going to come up later in my top 10, very close to the top, but this is the King Kelly 1888. This is one of those cards, it's very hard to know the value of it because there are so few King Kelly cards, and then on top of that, it's altered. So I don't know, sometimes I don't know where to put it, so I figured this was a good spot for it. Next up is the Ty Cobb, the 1911 T206 Ty Cobb in a 1.5. Obviously has this crease in the middle, which is why it's a 1.5, but beautifully centered, which is probably why it got that half-point bump. And this card has just gone absolutely bananas over the last couple of years. At number 13 is the 1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson in a PSA 4. Again, a card with a lot of eye appeal. One of my favorite cards. And about a year or two ago, I did a survey with YouTubers, and this was overwhelmingly the card that people seem to like as my favorite pickup of the year. The 1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson at PSA 4. At number 12, is the Hank Aaron rookie, the 54 Topps in a PSA 4. This was a card that I bought from my local card store and ended up walking away at one point from this card and then coming back, I think a month or two later and buying it. And I couldn't believe it was still sitting there in the shelf. But there it is, the 54 Topps Aaron in a 4. And at number 11, the Willie Mays, the 51 Bowman Willie Mays in a PSA 3. Now, if I were to pick between these two, I'd rather have the Hank Aaron. To me, it has a lot more eye appeal, but right now, a PSA 3 Mays will usually sell for more than even the highest valued PSA 4 Aaron, but both really, really cool cards, Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, side by side. All right, so at number 10, my top 10 cards, starting off with the Walter Johnson in a PSA 4. The Big Train, probably the greatest pitcher of all time. And if you're not familiar with Walter Johnson, just look into some of his numbers. They're insane. So there it is. Beautiful card. Nice eye appeal. And there it is. Number 10. At number 9, a card that is just going absolutely bananas. I could probably put it higher up on my list, but for now I'm going to put it at number 9, the 2011 Topps Update Diamond in a PSA 10. And beautiful card. It looks like Mike Trout is going to win another MVP this year. The guy is just unbelievable. And but I still think these cards are going a little too crazy. But hey, I'll take it. So that's number 9. At number 8 is the 1933 Goudey Lou Gehrig in an SGC 4. And just a beautiful card. As a Yankee fan, this was a card that I felt like I had to own, and widely considered to be his rookie card. 1933 Goudey, beautiful SGC 4. All right, at number 7 is the 56 Topps Mickey Mantle, one of my favorite cards of all time. Definitely top 5 cards of all time in my opinion. Love this card. Love, you know, that he's making that catch. So beautiful card and one of my favorite sets, the 56 top set. Ooh, that was close. All right, so there you have it. All right, at number 6 is the 33 Goudey Ruth in a PSA 3. I don't know what to say about this card. It's my favorite Goudey. I've actually wanted to pick up some of the other Goudey Ruth cards, but as of right now, this is the only one that I own. Number 144. It's definitely my favorite of the 4 different Ruth cards from the 1933 Goudey set, but definitely would love to own another one of these cards. Let's see. At number, I think we're at number 5. The 1959 Topps Mickey Mantle in a PSA 8. So picked this card up earlier in the year. It's just absolutely beautiful. When I did my 2000 vintage card pickups, I got a lot of 1959 Topps cards in there. And I remember Blue Jacket 66, he was sort of giving away like I think it was like a 6 or a 5 of this. And I was like, man, that is a beautiful card. And I started looking into it. And then next thing I know, I'm buying a PSA 8 of this card. But absolutely a beautiful card of the 59 Topps Mantle. At number 4 is the 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle. One of my favorite cards. This rookie card is absolutely beautiful. A lot of eye appeal. Really not perfectly centered, but nicely enough centered. Got this came back as a 3, and really nice looking card there. So this is the true rookie, Mickey Mantle rookie. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at number 4. This is number 4. This is number 3. The 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. So these sort of, I feel like, go side by side. I can't believe I'm calling this my number 3 card and this is my number 4 card, but there you have it. Number 4, the 51 Bowman Mickey Mantle, and then a card that I picked up at the beginning of the year, the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. It's altered, but it is a 52 Topps Mantle. So there you have it. All right, and number 2 is a card that I just picked up at the National in Chicago, and it is the N162 Cap Anson in a PSA 5. It's funny because a lot of people, I think, were looking at this like saying, oh, that's kind of a cool card. You know, unless you're really familiar with 19th century cards, you probably don't know the value of this card. Like, this card trumps this card in terms of value. You know, it's like I was saying in the previous video, I think they're only about 60 graded, greatest player of the 19th century, and to have this in a PSA 5, I think there's only about 13 cards of this card that are graded higher. So, and you could see just by the looks of it, beautiful centering, great eye appeal, and number 2 on my list. And then finally, number 1, a card that you guys are seeing for the first time, just added it to the collection, and it is the 2009 Bowman Chrome Mike Trout auto in a PSA 10. And the story with this card is I almost picked it up at the National, but you know, I actually walked away from the guy after making an offer, and I offered him full price and he said no. So I walked away, and I ended up picking up this card, the Cap Anson, and I'm so glad I got the Cap Anson instead of the Trout, because you could buy this card whenever you want to. That's the beauty of this card. It's rare, but it's not impossible. You know, like, to find this card again on eBay would be almost impossible. They pop up maybe once a year. But this Trout, I just literally went on eBay and bought it. So, but it is, it's one of those cards. I debated as to whether to put the Cap Anson as number 1 or the Trout at number 1. I feel like the Trout, when he gets his MVP, will only improve the price of this card. So you could say 1A and 1B if you want, however you want to put it. But I figure, since I'm making a brand new video, let's go ahead and make this number 1. So This is a card that 2009 Bowman Chrome and a PSA 10. It's a little, like, it's a tad bit off center. Maybe, you know, but either way, you know, if you look at PSA, even if it's a tiny bit off center, you could still get a PSA 10. I have a lot of quote unquote PSA 10s that are not perfectly centered, but just a beautiful card to add to the collection. And like I said, should be in line to win another MVP, and wanted to add this to the collection before it got too ridiculously insane, where I'm just paying a crazy amount for a Trout 2009 Bowman Chrome Auto. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it went on long, but for all the new subscribers out there, that is my top 50 baseball cards, all in a nutshell. It's probably going to be a long time before I buy anything big, so I figured, what the hell, let me get the top 50 out there. And I may have to go on a little bit of a hiatus based on some of the stuff that I've gotten over the last couple of years especially. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you later. Peace.